the mainstream media are now talking about Farage as a contender for being the Prime Minister of this country. They're actually saying that. We're sick of being called deplorables. We're sick of being called Nazis. We're sick of being called racists. We're sick of being called white supremacists. There's an energy in the party, in the Reform Party now, that's kind of starting to
it's contagious.
Momentum, and people are talking. And what's interesting, the mainstream media, who are arses, not that we have very strong opinions on things, the mainstream media are now talking about Farage as a contender for being the Prime Minister of this country. They're actually saying that now.
No, they are, and that's because they only can ignore things for so long. And then when it's plainly obvious, they have to report it, because they're a dying industry. And they don't want to die any quicker than they're already dying. So sometimes they have to report these things, even though they probably don't want to or don't agree with it. But Reform have definitely broken through. Reform now are a contender. You know, we've got Labour now accusing Reform of being a threat to democracy. I would wear that. Did you hear that?
Badge of pride.
That's a badge of pride.
That is Labour saying that is a fantastic thing for Reform.
That's because they're scared stiff of Reform. And they're going back to the old playbook, which didn't work for Harris in America. About, he's a dictator, he's Hitler. They're going back to the old playbook. What they haven't realised is that playbook now doesn't work.
Doesn't work, correct.
All the things you've done to control us over the last 20, 30, 40 years. Don't work anymore now. We're sick of it. So saying Reform are a threat to democracy is the best thing you can say about Reform.
There was something I was going to take a note of it. I forgot, but it was something like sort of in 2010, 20% of people were dissatisfied with the government. That's now nearly 50%. So the numbers the shifts are staggering now, in terms of people's opinion of the government and everything like that. A combination of what the Tories did to people for those 14 years they were in, and what these idiots Labour have done in the first 4 months now of what they've been doing. So people have changed. People out there are not happy. The numbers have shifted dramatically, and this bullshit about don't vote for Reform, they're a threat to democracy. You know, what they've got to do, Labour and the Tories, they need to say that Reform are Nazis. Once they start saying that, then people will say, here we go. We know now we're going to vote for Reform, because that's exactly what happened in America. And the people who voted for Trump we're sick of being called deplorables. We're sick of being called Nazis. We're sick of being called racists. We're sick of being called white supremacists. They weren't stupid, and that's why they voted for Trump. So once the Tories and Labour start doing that here, you know, he's home free, isn't he, Farage?
It is. You just mentioned Trump. So Trump, for me, is the biggest external story of the year. Outside the UK, the story is Trump. He has come back from the dead, 2 assassination attempts. Being called, literally being called a Nazi. Literally being called, if we vote for Trump, this is the last election we're ever going to have in this country. All the celebrities, all Hollywood, more so than ever. The Democrats spent the biggest amount of money ever, over £1 billion. And he cleaned the floor with all of them. He swept everything.
What happened there, and I think what's happening there as well, you said that what happened there is the biggest external story. I think it's a big story in the UK as well. I think what's happened in America has washed, like there's been like a blast radius out of what's happened with Trump. And initially it was confined to the people who voted for him, but it's rolling out now. And we're seeing the corporations in America starting to react to Trump, starting to basically go and kiss his hand or whatever it might be. But also, I think in the UK, what we're seeing is people are seeing what's happened in America and thinking, this is the way we need to be thinking in this country now. Because the very things he's talking about are the things that are starting to impact people in this country as well. But I think what's more, and again, I think your opinion's changed on this as well. Because when we initially talked about Trump, you said, that's in another country, it won't really affect us. I think now you're seeing that isn't the case. What's really interesting for me is that he's a good friend of Nigel Farage. That, you know, Nigel Farage knows him, knows Musk as well. There's talk about Trump supporting Farage in the next general election. There's talk about Musk investing money in Farage. So we have that incredibly now close link to America and what's happening over there. So I think that's going to make it even more exciting and interesting. And as I say, we're only 2 steps. I'm only 2 steps away from Elon Musk now, aren't I? I'm from Trump, because you know Farage.
Yeah.
He knows Trump. Yeah. So we're very close to the seat of power, aren't we, Nick?
Well, every day I keep looking at the post, my Christmas card of Trump and Elon. It's not come yet. It's not come.
Well, I was hoping it'd be from the 3 of them, with a picture of the 3 of them together.
And addressed to the mayor and I.